I just wanna be who I am. This is my jam. And I don't care if you're listening. I don't wanna rock the boat. I just wanna rock and roll. Now it's my turn to go.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Free Stitches podcast. My name is Lindsay, and I will be your host for today. It is episode 79. Before I start, I should probably do the introductions. As I said, my name is Lindsay. I am Lindy on Plurk, and I am dating Doink on Ravelry. Alright, so, wow. It feels like forever since the last time I podcasted. It has been a very long and rough few days. It's been so bad. I am so behind on my podcasts. I haven't even had a chance to watch either Catherine or Mom's podcast from the last 2 weeks, which is really terrible because I try and make it a point to watch their podcasts for the week before I do my own. That way I'm up to date on what they're saying, so I'm not totally contradicting them. So when I get into the Premium Lincoln Drive and such like that, if what I say doesn't jive with what they are saying, go with Mom and Catherine, because I haven't had a chance to get on the same page with them. If there was anything big that they were changing, they would have told me, but yeah. It's been a tough few weeks. As you've seen from the podcast, it's just been all out for me, and it still hasn't stopped. Next week, on Monday, I have my cognitive exam, which is the one I'm really nervous over, because it's a lot of biology, and plus a lot of theories and processes, and just all this stuff. They're very dense chapters, so I am concerned about it. And I think I'm out of focus. Do that instead. That looks better. And the thing with me is, not with me, just this class, it's going to have a cumulative final at the end, so I don't want to just cram and then forget everything by the time the final comes in. I have to cram all over again. So I want to make sure that excuse me, I want to make sure it's meaningful and make sure that it's not going to be so hard when the end of the semester comes. But I'm thinking I'm just going to get through this exam, and then when the final comes, I'll deal with that one too. So, what else has gone on this week? Not much, really. On Tuesday, we had the Psych Thriller night, so we watched a movie. There was 10 of us there, but, it was nice. It was really nice. We watched Fight Club, which I had been told by multiple people that this was an awesome movie and you have to see it. So I'm you know what? They're going to watch it at the Heine building. And so, I'll go watch it with them. And I did. And it was a good movie. Was it the greatest film on earth? No. Not at all. But I did like it. I thought it was a good movie. I kind of saw the end coming, but when it's a 2-hour-long movie, you kind of get the feel for the end before the end comes. But yeah, as I was saying, I watched a movie, so I had to get some sock knitting out, which means that over the weekend I had to get the toes. Well, I had to get a toe done so that I can just knit the body of the sock, or the foot of the sock, or the arch of the sock, whatever you want to call it. The area between the toes and the heel. Okay, so that brings on a very interesting story. Over the summer, I got some yarn from Mom, and it was called Sailor Stripes, and she gave me a skein of it, and so I was knitting it up, and I was loving the socks. I really was. They were adorable socks. This was what the pattern was looking like, and they were really, really cute socks. But I'm in the middle of the second sock, and I am about I was just about to turn the heel, and I looked down at my skein, so I was watching TV or doing something very mindless, and I looked down on the floor where my skein was, and there was 2 coils of yarn. So I'm like, bugger. That's not enough to turn the heel. So I had to take the socks out, which was incredibly depressing, but I had to take them out. So I let the yarn rest all summer long because I couldn't face it. I mean, I couldn't, like, in my mind I was just like, okay, I love this yarn, and I love the way it knits up, but there is no way that I'm going to be able to, stick another yarn on the toe and the heel of the socks to make it as good or better, So I was, just kind of like wrestling with this whole thought all summer long. Everyone was ready to kill me, but I came up with an idea. It was like the end of the summer, and inspiration struck me. And so this is what happened. I was knitting another pair of socks, and it was in the jelly bean stripe yarn, and it turned out to be a very cute pair of socks, but they turned out too big, so I have to reknit them. So I will have another pair of socks to do soon, but next time I have to watch a movie, I'll cast on for those socks. But so the thing was I had basically 2 balls of this yarn, one with enough for a full sock and one with enough for like half a sock. So it wasn't like I could tie them together and just go. So and then what I was going to do with the toe. This is sounding so disjointed, but it'll make sense at the end. So I decided to do another color for the toes and the heel. But what was cool was I did another pair of socks in the socks. I did another pair of socks in the jelly bean stripe yarn, and I had a good ball left. It wasn't enough for a full pair of socks, and so I was like, you know what? I was looking at the yarn, looking at the finished pair of socks, and I was looking at this striped yarn, and I'm like, you know what? I could make one really funky pair of socks with all these scraps, and so I am. The 4 colors, well, there were like 5 colors that made up the stripe of the yarn, and there was like a bright pink, there was a dark blue, there was a green, there was a white, and there was a red in there, but I wasn't too fond of the red, so I took the 4 colors, I cut them all out of the skein, made them all separate, and so I have to tie them all together, but I'm fine with that, I'm fine with that. So, I did the toe of one sock, and there's the toe, this blue, and so then I did the body of the sock, and I'm just about ready, I believe, for the heel on this one. It's close. It's real close, maybe like an inch left to go. But then I realized that I was going to run out of this yarn because this was the smaller ball. So I'm like, okay, well then I can't finish this sock because the scraps from this ball are going to go with this one. So then I was like, bugger, I have to start another sock. Whatever shall I do? It's like my guardian against second sock syndrome. So it's like, okay, I'll have to start another sock. So I grabbed the pink. And because I decided, what color combinations. So the other toe is in pink, bright pink. And so there's the second sock. And I think it is cute too. I do like it. I think the pink really brings out some of the brightness in the colors, the vibrancies of it. And then, so I'm going to turn the heel in this sock. I'm at that point. So what I'm going to do, the pink-toed sock is going to have a green heel, which I think will be cute. It'll have a green heel. So that'll be the toe, that'll be the heel. And then since the blue was very dark, the blue is going to have this cream toe, which I think will be cute too. So they're going to be my very, very funky, bright socks. Yep. That kind of ended rather abruptly. I was like, yep, that's it. Okay, so I know it's weird. I'm not used to having 2 socks on the needles. It's very weird. And it's very weird having 2 projects on size 3 needles at a time, too. I rarely ever use my 3s, and now I'm using both of them at the same time. It's a good thing I've got 2 sets of double-pointed 3s. It really is. So those are my socks. I don't know when I will finish them, because for me, socks are like one of those projects where if I'm watching a movie, or if I'm at a dead end on a project, or if there's a fire drill, I can just grab it and go. So that's kind of when I do socks. Well, this weekend I was totally in a sock mood. So I did the toe while I was watching, what did I watch? Over the weekends I like to kind of relax. Although I have a lot of homework, I try and get everything done by dinner time, so that after dinner I can, kick back, I'll watch a movie, or just, watch random stuff and knit. And so on Saturday I was hacking up a skein of yarn to make toes and heels, and I did the toe while watching Dirty Harry. I watched Dirty Harry. It was like one of those movies where you always hear the quotes from it, and like last weekend I was just like, you know what, I'm going to watch that movie. And I did, and it was a good movie. I liked it a lot. And then on Sunday, I realized I had to do another sock, so I cast on for the toe of that sock. But I didn't do anything, like the row after I'd finished the toe. Oh, I'm a poet. I didn't even know it. But the row after I finished the toe, I put it down. I'm like, you know what? I attached the other color, and I'm like, I'm putting it down because I need as much knitting as possible for the movie, because it was a 2-hour-long movie, and REM was late getting the movie because she was stuck at Blockbuster, so we started a half hour late. So I got a lot of knitting time done then. Yes, so those are my socks, my very long-winded socks. And then on to my other project, which was a surprisingly, I shouldn't have made that an adverb, but I got a surprisingly amount of done. Whoa. That made absolutely no sense. I'll start again. So, this project, I surprisingly got a lot done. That's what I was trying to say. But it didn't really come out now, did it? Alright. So, this is the Flothering Gale, which had been, kind of chilling in my drawer for a while now, and I doubled its size. I went from row like 20 to row like 45. Yes, I am 10 rows away from finishing the first chart, and there's no real good way to show it to you right now. I mean, that's what it looks like. Ain't it pretty? Yeah. But it is coming along nicely. So I mean, I really can't show you much, but it's terrible. But yeah, that's my Flothering Gale. I stopped at the end of a row, which for this kind of project is detrimental, because then I can't be in the middle of a row and show you exactly where one of the sections is, because it is, I believe it's 2, 4, it's got 6 sides to it. Which, since my brain is shot, I don't know what the geometrical shape would be. But, yeah. So that is my Flothering Gale. Again, very easy to show you what it is, but it is coming along nicely. And I can now work on it again. It got to the point where I was kind of like, I really don't want to work on that. I really don't want to work on that. But, it was like a Friday morning, and after my stressful Thursday, I was like, you know what? I am going to allow myself a morning off. I didn't have any class on Friday, so, I uploaded last week's podcast. I think I watched Law & Order SVU. And I watched a few episodes of that, and I just, cruised on my Flothering Gale, and I felt good. And I went to lunch, and then I got a bunch of work done, and it was a productive day, even though I killed the whole morning. But my roommate was asleep, and it was dark, and so I'm not very motivated when I'm sitting in the dark with my lamp on, working. I mean, occasionally I am, if it's like book work, but I get totally distracted if it's like computer work when it's dark and there's no one around. Because it's like, no one can see me procrastinating here. No one can see me not writing this paper, I'm just weird like that, I guess. But yeah. So, since tomorrow is Friday, it is a Thursday. I don't know why my alarm clock is right there. I don't know why I was looking at the clock to tell what day it was. But, yeah, it's a Thursday afternoon for me right now. And as my general disclaimer is, which I never seem to get in the same spot twice, I don't know if Rumi will be back. I don't think she will be, but she shouldn't be. But if she is, just, from wherever you are, I can be like, hey, Rumi, and then, we'll be good. It'll be kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, yeah, I'm podcasting. She goes about her business. She's good about that. So yeah, that was my slaughtering Gale. It is now in the drawer. I hope, but I don't think that it'll get much work done in the next coming week, because I said I have a cognitive exam on Monday, which means a lot of my tomorrow or my Friday will be dedicated to that, and so will my weekend. And then after that cognitive exam, it'll be like full force human development and family studies. Because that exam's on Thursday. That one shouldn't be too bad, but still, it's like, cognitive, and then it's like, no break, right on to marriage and families, which is lovely. But yeah, at least I don't have my French exam on Thursday. We were supposed to, last exam, which was last week, we were supposed to take the exam and then go into lesson 1, so that we could take, 3 classes later we could take the exam, because there's always 4 lessons, and after the fourth lesson there's an exam. And so that's usually the way it goes, but for some reason he was just like, you guys can just go, which was nice, but which meant that either we were supposed to double up on a lesson or bump the day of the exam. But so we bumped the day of the exam, which means that the week after I had nothing going on. I had no quizzes, no exams, nothing. But now I have an exam that week, so that means that I can't totally kick back anymore, which is a total bummer. But at least I don't have 2 exams on one day anymore. The one problem with my French class is that since there's 4 lessons per chapter, we have a test every chapter, which means that we're going to have 5 exams per semester, which, it doesn't sound too bad until you look at the schedule and go, hey, we have an exam every 2 weeks, Not, you've just taken one exam and you're like, oh, another exam coming up, But I guess I can't complain, because we don't have a final exam. We have an oral exam. Yeah, so, my other project, because I do have other projects. And I'm feeling very long-winded today. Very, very chatty. So, as a result of my socks this weekend, or last weekend, and Slaughtering Gale, I didn't get much done on my sweater. I officially finished the straight section, and I did 1 increase. So that's basically the length from under the armpit. I tried it on, and it's fitting well. It's fitting just about where it's supposed to. My straight section is where it's supposed to be. I'm going to get my increases done, get about 1 inch of straight, and then I'll be able to bind off probably, and I'll be right at the length I want it, right, below the pockets. Just long enough, but, not long enough that it's like a trench coat, and not short enough that it's like a shrug. That's the word I'm looking for. So it'll be nice. It will be. And as you can tell, I need it. It is freezing in here, like usual. Alright, so that is my sweater. Again, not very much done, but, what can you say? So, my last project, last but not least, is the project that goes with me to class every day, except Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, when I don't have class. But, yeah. Which has a bit of a funny anecdote that just happened to. But, here is my skein. It is slowly collapsing upon itself, which, kind of happens when you're knitting with the yarn in it. But, yes. So, here is my Dinner at the Eiffel Tower shawl, and wonder of wonders, I finished a row. I didn't stop in the middle of a row, which is very surprising, and I have gotten 1, 2, I'm on the 4th row of the lace. So I finished the straight section, and I'm working on the lace. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but it will soon. Yeah, so I'm sitting in my Problems of Normal Life class, and we've been in class for 5 weeks now. And as all of you probably already know, a knitter kind of stands out. I mean, unless there's like a bajillion people in there, we sort of stand out, especially when there's only like 10 people in the room at the time. And so this guy sitting behind me, kind of gives me a poke, just like, "Are you knitting?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "Oh, I was going to say, because I was about to tell you that there's like this piece of yarn hanging out of your bag, and I realized you were working with it." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "So what are you making? Are you making a bag?" I'm like, "No, I'm making a shawl." And he's like, "Oh, like old lady shawl?" I'm like, "Yeah, like old lady shawl." And he's like, "So are you going to get like a cane and everything?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to get a gray-haired wig to match." Thanks. Sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut. Yeah. Some people have no tact, but I like it, and I will wear it, and if I look like an old lady, I will look like an old lady. It beats what happens to my roommate, because she is older than I am. She is 20, and yet she gets confused for looking like a 12 to 14-year-old. People will, for this like random stuff, they'll question her age, and I'm like, I don't see you as looking, that young, but, maybe that's just me. But I get mistaken for a whole lot older than I am, so, oh well. But she gets really frustrated because, people think she belongs in middle school when she's in college. Yeah. So, my other little, tidbit, I don't want to say of news, but for once, I got to stop by the library. It was like one of those things where I was running errands on Saturday morning, and so I was walking around campus, and I'm just kind of like walking, and then I realized I'm like, hey, I'm walking in the library. It was like I was totally on autopilot. So I went upstairs into the bowels of the library, because this place is huge. It looks kind of small from the outside, but there are I think there are 9 floors altogether, and they're all kind of mazed, intertwined. I mean, if you aren't consciously, paying attention to where you're going, you can totally get lost. But, yeah, so my roommate kind of had a heart attack when she saw this sitting on my desk, but when I went to the library, I picked up Douglas Adams's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And no, this is not just Hitchhiker's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It is Hitchhiker's Guide, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, Life, the Universe, and Everything, So Long for, and Thanks for All the Fish, and Young Zaphod Plays It Safe. So it is a whole collection of most of his books. There are some books after this one, but that's alright. I'll check them out in due time. But, yeah. So this is like my comic relief. At the end of the day, when I'm tired and exhausted, I'll read a chapter or two, and it totally perks me up. It is. It's a funny book. I mean, it is. Hitchhiker's Guide, and it is lovely. But it was sitting on my desk, and I also own the complete novels of Jane Austen, which is basically what my camera is sitting on right now. But it's about 2.5 inches thick, about the same size as this book, and she saw the Jane Austen book sitting on my desk, and for some reason, she was like, "Hey, Lindsay, what's that book on your desk?" I'm like, "Oh, that's all of Jane Austen's novels." And she's like, "What class is that for?" And I'm like, "Not for a class that's leisure reading." She's like, "You read that for fun?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm demented like that." But then, this week, she saw this book on my desk. She's like, "What book is that?" I'm like, "Not for a class, it's leisure reading again. It's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and all the related books." She's like, "Oh, okay. How do you find time to read?" And I'm like, "I make time because it calms me down, so like how we all kind of like make time for knitting. That's what I do. And I enjoy it, so I mean, it's kind of easy to make time for reading, or, you know, reading this when you enjoy it. So yes, that's what's on my nightstand, more like on the corner of my desk. And hopefully I will get through it soon, because it's one of those good books, but it's like, again, kind of hard to find time, especially with my busy schedule. But I should get time soon. Yeah, that kind of ended abruptly too. Kind of weird. I need to work on segues, seriously. But yes, I believe that is all. I have rambled for long enough, I do believe. Yeah. So, I almost forgot, as I almost every podcast do, but we are currently running a preemie blanket drive, and I have gotten various, PMs from people about our address, and so I know we're getting a good amount of preemie blankets coming in, which is really, really nice. And from Mom's podcast, at least from the title, I know we are getting a lot of preemie blankets. So keep up the good work, keep up the knitting. You have 17 more days to knit up your preemie blankets and get them in the mail, and a lot can be done in 17 days. So, yes, so get your knitting needles out, get your crochet hooks out, let's knit up some blankets, or let's make some blankets. Alright, so you can find all the information on this drive on our Ravelry group thread. Which brings me to join our Ravelry group. We have some new members whose names escape me because I don't know if Catherine mentioned them. So join our Ravelry group. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on our blog. You can find us on Blip. And so give us a star rating, or like a rating, a comment, star rating thing on iTunes, because that's always cool and nice to know. But other than that, that's it from me. So have a great week. We'll have a great weekend. And Mom will see you on Monday and Catherine on Wednesday. So until then, bye!